Never stop reading Bible. Welcome. Today, we're diving into one of the most foundational narratives ever told, the final, intense 48 hours in the life of Jesus. We're going to walk through his trial, his death, and the absolutely world-changing events that came right after.
So, our story kicks off in chapter 23, and it's tense. It's the middle of the night, Jesus has just been arrested, and what follows is this rapid-fire, almost chaotic series of hearings, bouncing him between the highest powers in the land. Yeah, you can really feel the political tension here. First, he's dragged in front of Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor. Pilate, well, he can't really find a crime, so he tries to pass the buck over to Herod. But Herod, he just mocks Jesus and sends him right back. So now the decision, a life or death decision, is right back in Pilate's lap. And this is where it gets really fascinating. The text tells us that Pilate actually thinks Jesus is innocent. He wants to let him go, but he's stuck, you know? He's caught between what he thinks is right and this roaring crowd. In the end, he makes a political move to keep the peace and protect his own skin, and condemns a man he believes is innocent. So from there, Jesus is led to a place called Calvary. He's sentenced to crucifixion, a really brutal public execution that was saved for the absolute worst criminals. And to just drive home the humiliation, he's placed on a cross right between two convicted thieves. And this moment, I think, is just incredible. It shows these two completely different human reactions to Jesus, even in their final moments. One thief just joins in with all the mocking, but the other one sees something different. He expresses his belief, and in return, he gets this incredible promise of paradise. And then, with a loud voice, he cries out his final words, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." It's this powerful moment of surrender, and right after saying this, he dies. After his death, a really surprising character steps up, Joseph of Arimathea. He was a respected member of the council, and in a pretty brave move, he asks for the body, wraps it in linen, and lays it in his own brand new tomb carved out of rock. So at this point, everything just feels final. Jesus is dead. He's buried. His followers are scattered. They're scared. They're devastated. Everything they had hoped for seems to be over. It really looked like the end. But then we get to chapter 24, and this is where the entire narrative just flips on its head. The story shifts from death and despair to something completely new, a moment of unbelievable discovery. And what's so amazing here is who makes this discovery. It's not the main disciples. No, most of them are in hiding. It's a group of women who would follow Jesus. They get to the tomb and they find the stone rolled away and the body gone. They become the very first messengers, kicking off this chain of events that starts pulling all the scattered disciples back together. The story doesn't just stop with an empty tomb either. The narrative continues with Jesus physically showing up to his followers. These aren't just quick glimpses. He eats with them. He gives them their final teachings, all before his final departure, the ascension into heaven. Okay, so let's just pause for a second and think about the incredible transformation we've just seen. It is a complete 180 from what looked like a totally tragic ending. This is really the heart of the whole thing. It's this dramatic arc from the absolute lowest point, unjust condemnation, a brutal death, to this incredible, world-changing hope that comes with the resurrection. What looked like a definite end turns out to be the most radical new beginning imaginable. And all of this leaves us with a really big question, one that sits at the very core of this whole account. How does a story of betrayal, of suffering, of ultimate loss completely transform into a story of ultimate victory? That question is really at the heart of why this story has had such an enduring power. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer.